Okay, so what have I got in store for you tonight? Monday is always, as you know, kind of getting you ready for bed, a bit more of a stretch rather than strengthening and kind of letting the kind of energy re-energizing. So it's more to ease you into your evening and then just kind of removing any or relieving any perhaps aches, any pains. And the strap is always a good one to use it in a quite diverse way. So we're working with shoulders, but also with hips and hamstrings with our strap. So in order to get started, start on your backs, please. Have the strap relatively close by, so it might be worth maybe also having a blanket or two nearby. And just begin to stretch out your body, stretching from fingertips to toes. Maybe squeeze all the muscles together. So really tense, contract your toes, your calves, your thighs, your buttocks. Perhaps squeeze your your shoulders up towards your ears and really bring the body into quite a tense little package, and then just soften, release the body down, and just notice how you feel. So it's Monday evening, beginning of a new week. Also the days get shorter and shorter, and the days also get a little colder. So it's a time to slow down, to kind of look after ourselves. Notice how your breath is, just naturally flows. Is it a little choppy? Is it a little restricted? So just tuning into your breath, as the breath is always the best indicator. And then keeping your hands a little bit overhead so the elbows can stay up overhead. And begin to walk your feet towards the right hand corner of your mat. So we're coming into that half moon shape. If you look at yourself from the top, your feet walking towards the top, the right-hand corner of your mat, and lift your upper body, your shoulders, your head, and also bring that upper body into the top right-hand corner. So now you're feeling perhaps a stretch on the left side of your body. So find that, so let the body settle as with gravity. There's kind of just nothing to do. So we're tuning into that being mode. If you want to deepen that stretch, cross your left ankle over your right ankle. So keep your neck, your head in a position that's comfortable. With your right index and thumb, you may want to wrap that around your left wrist and just allowing the body to settle. So starting with a little bit of breath awareness, direct the breath into the left side of your body, into the left waist, into left ribcage area, armpit. And you can always deepen that stretch even across your left arm by gently pulling with your right hand on your left wrist. So starting here with that breath awareness, yet you're still kind of moving a little bit. The breath moves the body, so you might feel a bit of a rise on the inhale and exhale, softening. If the left foot becomes a little bit too heavy, if it's too strong a sensation, then just release that left foot so both feet are parallel. So we're here for a couple of more breaths to let, with the breath, the left side of your body slowly lengthen and release. So at any point, adjust your arms, your feet, and visualize how you lengthen that left side of your body. So again, you look a bit like in a half moon shape, stretching the left side of your body. So long, slow, deep breaths, direct them all the way into the body, into every cell, into every tissue in your body. So perhaps switching off from your day. If your mind still is going at 100 miles an hour, focus on the sound of your breath. Perhaps feel that the air is slightly cool on the inhale and slightly warm on the exhale.
Stay for another 3 breaths. So one breath is one inhale and one exhale. You can have your eyes closed or just a soft gaze without really focusing anything. So just allowing the breath to move through the body. So with your next breath, slowly untangle your feet if they were crossed and walk your feet back towards the center of your mat. Also lift your upper body. So you're coming back into the center of your mat and just noticing here, just settling here. So how does the left side compare to the right side? You may feel a little maybe longer on one side. So even it out, let's even it out. Walk your feet towards the left corner of your mat. So kind of just baby steps. And while you're walking the feet, there might already be a sensation on the right side of your body. Adjust your upper body. So lifting your shoulders, your upper body, your head over into the left-hand corner. Again, adjust perhaps your wrist. So left index and thumb have wrap around the right wrist. If you want to wrap your, or just cross your right ankle over your left ankle. Again, you can always come back into having both feet on the floor. So your neck can adjust, you can roll onto the left side, perhaps, so your left ear is closer towards the floor. And nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just let the breath settle into the second side. You're stretching out that right side of your body. You can make it a bit of a more active stretch by staying a little bit more involved in a stretch, or you just let the body settle and naturally roll or just settle into that position without doing anything. So allowing the breath to move in through your nose and kind of find its way through the body, especially to the right side of your waist. If there's any impingement maybe on the lower back or on your waist, just adjust, maybe take that foot down. So it's about just being, letting the body settle. So breathing into the right side of your body, softening into the posture. So breathing in, noticing how you breathe into your lungs, bottom part of your, it's top part, bottom part, and let the diaphragm move down so you feel perhaps a bit of rising on of your belly down towards the pelvic floor. Stay for another 2 to 3 breaths. And let that exhale fully finish. So the magic of the breath work really lies in the exhale. So emptying the lungs fully in order to be able to take another deep, full breath. So with your next inhale, begin to make your way back into the center of your mat. So slowly walk your feet back, adjust your upper body. Maybe bring the arms forward. So even having the arms up and over might cause a little bit of strain for the shoulders. And then hug your knees into your chest. So just kind of stretching here the back line. Gentle rock. So you can, without pulling the knees in, so let just the weight of your legs settle onto your torso. So notice maybe if there's any tightness anywhere, maybe around the backs of your thighs, maybe your hips. Good. And then bring the left foot down, holding onto the right knee and squeezing the right knee a little bit closer towards your abdominals. If it feels uncomfy, take your right knee a little bit out towards the right armpit. So you're taking the knee literally out towards the right side of your body. So same kind of movement here without feeling any compression. So we are lengthening through the lower back. And then move into some hip circles. So maybe just the right hand holds onto your right shin, onto your right knee. So making smaller circles, maybe bigger circles. If you have space, perhaps take your leg all the way out towards the right side, extending that leg. So as you may feel with your leg stretched out, it adds a bit more weight. So the gravity again takes over. If it feels uncomfy, bring the knee in and just keep it slightly bent. Good. Extend or bring that movement back to stillness. Extend the right leg up towards the ceiling. Circle the right foot, flex and point the right foot. And notice if your pelvis lifts. So I'm exaggerating here. So keep the pelvis down, the tailbone lengthens. It might mean your legs a little bit further forward. So keeping that whole spine, the whole back body on the earth, on the floor. Good. And then bring the right leg down. Second side, have your left knee in. Just allowing the leg to settle. If it feels uncomfy on your belly, take it out towards the left side. So holding that posture here, flattening the lower back, or just at least releasing the lower back into the earth. Gentle squeeze. Maybe you just let the leg hover. So you decide maybe to do a bit of a squeeze or just let the leg hover. And then move into hip circles here as well. So mobilizing again the left hip. Smaller circles, bigger circles. Maybe take your leg out to the sides. Long, extended leg. So focus on sensations in your hip. If there's maybe any discomfort, less is more. So keep the circle smaller. Good. And then bring that movement back to stillness. Extend the left foot up. So perhaps use both hands, noticing, is your pelvis lifted? If you're able to get both hands through the other side, then press that pelvis, press the hips a little bit more into the earth. So it's nice and flat, flexing and pointing the left foot. While slowly waking up your hamstrings. So it's mainly floor-based tonight. So get ready and bring that strap into the belt into the equation, maybe the scarf, maybe the tie. So undo that belt and actually hook both feet around that strap and extend both feet up towards the ceiling. So keep the feet about hip distance apart. So without having the inner edges of your feet touching. So take your feet a little out, so they're kind of over your hip bone. So kind of keeping the strap relatively tight and almost pretend you want to push your feet out a little wider, but it doesn't work because that strap literally holds the feet in. So we are pressing the hip bones a little bit out to the side. We're creating a little bit of strength. And then release that tension. So your feet come back to normal, just settling here, resting here, stretch up towards the ceiling and then coming back in. So press the outer edges of your feet against that strap, against the belt, whatever you use tonight. Continue to breathe normally. We are creating kind of that sensation through our legs all the way up into the glutes and then soften. Last one here, press the feet into the outer edge, or press the outer edges of your feet against that strap, the belt. So it's more of an isometric stretch. You're still stretching, but in a more active way. Don't forget to breathe though, and then settle. So from here, take your feet out further and further. So we bring the feet into a V shape. So almost pick a width, I'm just turning around, pick the width that works for you. So, and just pressing kind of the lower back into the earth. So if you have enough kind of fabric to go, find the width that really works for you. One thing to note though is here, keeping that spine, keeping the tailbone once more all the way down. pressing into the earth. So we are really coming to a nice flat structure. There might be, you might bend your knees, but the only thing to look out for really is to keep the back nice and flat. Continue to breathe as you still feel still quite a strong sensation. Deep breaths into your belly. And then slowly begin to bring your feet together again. Maybe give them a little bit of a wiggle, a little bit of a shake so you can release your strap. Maybe bring them back towards your tummy, softening, perhaps swaying from side to side. So hooking that belt just around the right arch of your, hooking the strap around the arch of your right foot. Extend that leg up towards the ceiling. Allow your arms to settle down. And breathe into the right hamstring. So keeping the rest of the body relatively undisturbed. So focusing in terms of sensation as well as your breath into the right side of your leg. Keeping the tailbone once more on the floor. Notice maybe if you want to bring your leg up closer towards your head. So avoid the temptation, have your tailbone down, maybe the leg's a little bit further away. So it keeps that pelvis nice and neutral, helping the lower back in the long term. So a couple of deep breaths. And let that breath really leave the body for a nice long exhale. So perhaps lengthen it out breath. Make it twice as long as the inhale. Inhale through your nose, exhale also out through your nose. Lovely. Stay for another 2 breaths. And then change that pattern from here. You can extend the left leg, switch sides. So you remove your right foot, bring the right leg down. Have your right leg, right knee bend so that the pelvis in a neutral position, and focusing on that stretch on your left side. So perhaps observe which side feels tighter. It probably takes a few moments to settle into that sweet spot. So on a scale, maybe from 1 to 10, aim for perhaps 7 in terms of sensation, ouchiness, soreness. So avoid really that sharp pain. So less is more. The more we settle into that stretch and release the back of the hamstring, the more it helps the body to let go of any tightness. So again, reminder to use the exhale, resist that temptation to hold your breath. So stay for 1 more long inhale and full, complete exhale. Bring that foot down, remove your strap, or just bring the strap, kind of can keep it close, but you don't need it at the moment. So allowing just the body to settle, maybe shake out your hands, or if you held onto that belt you had quite a strong grip, so perhaps just shake out your leg and your fingers, or maybe splash as if you splash water. So coming back into our V-shaped legs. So extend both legs up towards the ceiling. Take your feet out into that kind of V shape. And then kind of swirl your legs around. So you bring that right leg down towards the floor as your left leg is pretty much above your torso. Hold on to the back of your left thigh. And let that right leg hover maybe 1 inch or so off the floor. Step Oh, that's option number one. Option number two is if you want, lift your head, your shoulders off the floor, moving towards that left thigh. Breathing here. You can release that right leg down if you wish. So instead of hovering, see what works better for you. Holding here. One more breath. And then slowly bring your upper body down. Bring that left leg across, bend your right knee and cross that left ankle over your right knee piece. So we're coming to that figure of four. We're not staying here for too long. Press your left hand against that left thigh, left knee. So we just open here the hip once more. So from here, let your legs or roll over to your right side with your feet exactly as they are. Come onto your right forearm. So we are turning around into a kind of half, what is it? Not seated, not lying down. So kind of something in between. So we are stretching once more through the right side of our body. If your elbow feels a little niggly, bring a blanket underneath your elbow. So a couple of options here, depending on the shoulders. You can stay here. You can also lift up more into that movement where you stretch that side a little bit deeper. So decide what works for you tonight. So we are stretching the right side of your body. So breathing into that right side, you can switch between having your elbow down, even staying here for a few breaths. So any position we're holding for a slightly bit longer than usual allows just those tissues to stretch. So if you have lots of energy, you can lift your right hip off the floor and lower down. You can perhaps even lift your left arm up and over and bring it down. So if you're up here, the same movement can apply here. So you're lifting that right hip and lowering. So it creates a little bit of strength. Maybe you lengthen, stretching. So kind of traveling between those two postures. You can also always come back into a little bit more of a static hold or staying here to lengthen that right side of your waist. So explore, experiment what works best for you tonight. So staying either for another 2 breaths or for 2 positions, lengthening here. And once you finish, roll back onto your back, into that figure 4 stretch. This time you can bring your right knee in, perhaps staying for a little bit longer, maybe even just swaying here without hands, upper body completely relaxed, just a little bit of sway. Maybe you draw a circle with both legs. So you're circling on your lower back. Perhaps maybe keep the foot on the floor depending on the hip. Maybe you just lift your heel and just sway your legs a little bit from side to side. So not a lot of movement here. You can always bring the knee in, make it a little bit of a stronger sensation, or press that left leg away from you. So stay for 2 more breaths. And then set that left foot down. So both knees bend, second side. Extend your both legs up towards the ceiling. Come into that V shape again. This time, circle that left leg down as your right leg comes pretty much over your head. Hold onto the back of your right thigh. The left leg can hover, maybe even flex the left foot so that just activates that leg a bit more. If you want, lift your upper body towards your right thigh. Holding here without holding the breath. So continue to breathe normally. You can always come in and out of the posture. Lovely. So if your neck feels a little bit agitated, maybe then take your upper body down and just hold on to that stretch. If it feels uncomfortable in your left hip, bring your left leg down. Good. So 1 or 2 more breaths. And then bring that left leg down, left foot down, slide it into the left knees, bend, cross your right ankle over. Gentle push against that right thigh. Breathe here. We are opening. We're just mobilizing through the right hip. So perhaps stay for 3 breaths. So more, you can also make it more active. So you're actively pushing that leg away from you. So if you have both hands off, your right leg might almost stay in that position where you left it. So you hold that stress. Whereas if you just use your hand and you just let it settle here, once you move your hand, the leg moves back. So you can explore more of an active stretch or more of a passive stretch with your right hand resting. So then begin to roll onto your left side. So same setup here. The right foot comes onto the floor. Maybe adjust your mat or adjust your body on the mat. Maybe bring a blanket underneath your left elbow. So settling into that posture here. So perhaps just start here, depending on how the back feels, your spine. Stretching here. Perhaps you're going to come straight up onto that posture, slightly stronger sensation. And direct the breath similar to the beginning into the right side of your body again. Wonderful. So you can explore here switching between both, lifting your hips. So gentle activation and mobilization of your abdominals. If you want, maybe bring your right arm up and over, stretching here. So the more you activate that core, even very gently, you take that pressure off your left shoulder, left arm, perhaps even off your left wrist. So lifting up, maybe stretching over. Again, options. You choose what you feel most comfortable with. Maybe just staying here, lengthening through the left side, left rib cage. Perhaps up here. So whatever you do, focus on that breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Good. So we are really releasing any tightness from the tissues. Good. Stay for 1 more inhale, 1 more exhale. Or just finish your more active movement. And then make your way back onto your back into that figure 4 stretch. This time make it a little deeper. So depending on your hip, you can just stay here. Maybe if that's okay for you tonight, perfect. If you want, if it feels accessible, bring your left leg in. Maybe swaying here. So arms, upper body completely soft, relaxed on the floor. Maybe a little bit of a sway. Perhaps even just lifting the heel if you keep the left foot on the floor, just kind of rocking here from side to side. Good. So kind of really releasing the stresses from the day, maybe from the weekend. So if you have moved not as much, it's a good way to get all that stuff out through the hips, or from your hips. Good. And bring that movement back to stillness. Settle that foot down. And just allow the body to pause for a moment. So kind of coming back into that being state. Are there any sensations, maybe in your feet, in your shins, in your calves, maybe in your shoulders? So use that time to just notice, how does the body feel? So if your head or shoulders are resting on a blanket, perhaps remove that blanket, please. Both knees are bent. Bring your arms into cactus arms, please. So the shoulders are on the floor, relatively close to your arms are on the floor, the upper arms relatively close towards your ribcage. Your palms, fingertips face up. Turn the palms, so as if you're looking at your palms, kind of holding a mirror. So that we're adjusting the position of the shoulders slightly. Feet about hip distance apart. and begin to lift the hips off the floor, keeping your palms still as if they're looking towards you. Coming into that bridge posture. Holding here, even that arm position has an impact on the shoulders. Maybe lift one heel, maybe lift the opposite heel. Bringing both heels down, bring the hips back down, releasing your arms. So if it feels maybe quite uncomfortable, strange, holding the palms a certain way. So the position of our palms really decides how the shoulders rest. So coming back into the posture, turn the palms around so you're looking at your palms. Lift your hips off the floor, stretching. So head is lower than the heart, allows the lymph to flow back towards the heart. Maybe lift one heel, maybe both heels, activating through the glutes. Pressing the shoulders into the earth. Notice if your knees go to the left and to the right, so keep those knees parallel. Bring the heels down, bring your hips down, and hug your knees into your chest. So releasing the arms, maybe if it feels uncomfy on your wrists, circle your wrists. Maybe give them a bit of a shake. Perhaps even just reach the arms up towards the sky. Let the whole arms just wobble. Good. And from here, get ready to roll onto your back. Roll onto your front. And into, so bringing the hands into Sphinx posture. Any discomfort on your tummy, bring a blanket underneath your hips if they feel a bit bony, or if the floor is a little bit too bony. Even in terms of just making a little bit more space between your body and the floor. So avoid having your elbows behind you. So perhaps either underneath your shoulders, maybe a little bit further forward. So taking the feet out to the left and the right edges of your yoga mat. Perhaps the toes point out, the heels maybe point in. Play with that position of your feet. If it feels uncomfy, have your toes pointing in and the ankles dropping out towards the side. Just moving the strap. So from here, notice if you're collapsing here. Press into your forearms, lifting the chest, activating your legs to protect that lower back. Stretching through the front body. So you can remain here or activating through the legs, maybe lifting the elbows. Keeping the length in your spine. Look over your left shoulder. Look over your right shoulder. Deep breath into your belly. And coming back down, maybe softening. So you can perhaps settle down, maybe wiggling through your hips. So it's a little bit of a longer hold in that twist, in that Sphinx posture. Good, so coming back into that Sphinx posture, onto your back. So it's slightly energizing, but only slightly. So we're squeezing in a very gentle way, massaging the adrenal glands, where the cortisol, stress hormone, gets produced. So find your setup again. Seek that length. If it feels uncomfortable in your lower back, draw that belly in, so activating the core, almost protecting the spine from the inside out. Lifting the chest, shoulders away from your ears, perhaps lengthening. You can stay here. Maybe you can slide your right hand further in, looking over your right shoulder. Sliding the right hand back, left hand sliding it towards the body. Lifting, looking over your left shoulder. And then slowly coming with your arms back down, settling onto the earth. With rocking through your hips from side to side. Bending your both knees. Maybe let your legs just circle. So you're just drawing circles with your legs, releasing through the hip, the lower back. So a couple of breaths, deep breaths into the tummy, into your abdominal area. So bring your feet down, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, lifting up slowly into tabletop. Maybe a little bit of a wiggle, so because from the back bend might feel a little uncomfy. So find your way into an area where the spine feels good. So circling here through the whole rib cage, maybe bring the rib cage out to the left, to the right, letting the rib cage drop. So you're kind of circling your rib cage, your spine. So again, a bit of free natural movement. So maybe shifting the bottom back, lengthening, taking your knees as wide as it feels accessible. So you're not compressing the belly, maybe hovering through those cat and cows, rounding the spine, shifting the bottom back, really stretching here, lengthening. Maybe even a little bit of a wiggle, perhaps fingertips, or you come onto your fingertips, lifting through the elbows. So again, there's no limitation to just coming into postures that feel good. So maybe a couple of moving cat and cows as you swim through, and then rounding your spine, shifting the bottom back. So depending how you feel, you can move up into downward dog. So curl your toes under, lift up into downward dog. Pedal your feet. So take your feet to the outside edges of your mat. Bend your knees deeply, maybe one at a time. So the bottom, a bit like a tail, shifts from side to side. Again, it's more what it feels like rather than what it looks like. Perhaps keeping your legs straight, maybe just wiggling your bottom from side to side. So shaking your neck, shaking your head from side to side. Say yes, say no. And if you have your feet as wide as your yoga mat, begin to walk your hands towards your feet. So kind of keeping yourself in that forward fold as if you kind of clean the floor. So you just sway here, maybe figure of 8 with your palms, with your hands. So allowing the neck to soften. And then slowly come up into standing. So you just take yourself really time as you uncurl, unroll. Good. So, and then just notice as you land, because we've been in that forward fold for a little bit longer. So, oopsie, take your belt, take your yoga strap once more, please. So hopefully we all have belt that's a little bit longer. So we're doing just one or two things with shoulders. So I've got a relatively long belt, long strap. So take it as wide, no wider than your shoulders. So really a generous width with that strap. So we may have to adjust here. If you have enough space, if you have enough fabric, kind of really bring that, so keep a little bit of tension between the straps, so avoid having it just loose. Your thumb maybe just wraps around your finger around your thumb, and then reach your arms up, and then taking your arms straight behind you. So we are warming up through the shoulders. Again, adjust. If the belt is not long enough, have your elbows bent and just taking the strap behind your back. So if the strap is long enough, don't force it if there's not enough width. So two options here. So keeping your arms long as you move your strap up and down. So keep your head also quite level with the floor. So avoid looking down, moving the strap maybe for a rounded back. So keep that back nice and long. So we're moving more for the shoulders. And avoid leaning forward. So hips, shoulders are in line. So kind of flossing, do a bit of a shoulder floss. So over time it gets a little easier. Notice maybe from any injuries, old injuries, perhaps recent injuries.
what it feels like. So just slowly opening up, making a little bit more space in the upper body. So, and the next time you bring both arms up, bring that right arm, I'm not mirroring, the right arm up so the left arm comes down. Have quite a bit of traction between both sides. So the upper arm reaches up, your lower arm reaches back. Good. Breathe into the right side of your body. Maybe even lean over to the left side. So keeping that kind of tightness between those arms, your fingers. Good. Coming back to center. Bring it back to neutral. And left arm reaches up. As your right arm comes down, stay for a couple of breaths, that length, your upper arm reaching up. And then lean over towards the right side. So your right arm kind of pulls down. And then coming back to center, release that belt around your shoulders and just shake out your hands. So maybe for that grip, you might feel it. Maybe a little bit of just making fists, any movement here. Good. So a couple of shoulder rolls, shoulder neck circles. Good. So breathing makes it breathing a little bit easier as we stretch through the chest as well as open through the back body. So from here, take your strap or your belt, probably bring it in half. So depending probably how long it is. So we are aiming at bringing it, oopsie, over the shoulder. So over the left shoulder, have about equal length on the front and the back. So left side of your shoulder, reach up through your left arm, please. Let the left arm bend. So your hand just flops down. You're stretching for the left tricep. So notice if your elbow is down, perhaps either from the front, take your arm up, or you take your arm up and over your head, holding onto the elbow, taking that elbow slightly up and back. So again, we're all different in terms of anatomy. So maybe you hold it here, or depending on kind of how tight any muscles are and tendons are. So you can even push from the front gently against that thigh, or you stay here open, lengthening. Keeping your left arm where it is, take your right arm out to the side, turn the palm, bring it behind your back, and locate, hold on to that strap. You may not need it depending on shoulders. Then walk your hands towards each other as far as it feels accessible. And breathe. So again, notice if you're perhaps leaning forward, just exaggerating, open your upper body, bring that left elbow up and breathe. So you might feel a bit taller. So that's option number one. If you want to go further from here, have your feet about a little bit further apart. Begin to lean forward. And also notice maybe the left elbow drops down. So bring that left elbow up. So nice straight back. So we're about parallel to the floor. Good. Take one or two more breaths. And then bend through your knees as you come back up to standing. Release your arms. Shake them out. A little bit of arm, shoulder circles. Maybe a bit of a twist, a bit of a swivel, shaking it out. Good. Second side. Bring the belt over to the opposite side, please. Again, about roughly equal length. Reaching up for the right arm, let the elbow drop. That might already be enough here, just holding that arm back. So again, you can push from the front a little bit, or upper arm or the left arm up and over your head, holding onto the elbow. Again, that option, and notice if you're leaning, if your gaze is, or your head is pointing down, lift your head. So that might change the whole dynamic quite deeply. And breathe into that kind of space you create in the upper body. At any point, adjust, so you can always bring that arm forward, kind of gently push from the front against that tricep. So then get ready to take your left arm out to the side, turn your palm, bring it behind your lower back. And just again, both hands find their way on the strap in a kind of distance that's comfortable. You may not need the strap as both hands reach, that's fine, or find that space that's accessible. So perhaps notice in your posture, you're leaning forward, maybe chin down. So rise up, chest up, chin parallel, maybe the elbow draws gently forward. So find again what works. You can stay here for a few breaths. Deep breaths as the breath goes all the way down into pelvic floor area. Option 2 is again, you come into that forward fold. So notice if you're kind of collapsing here and you're leaning forward, but your arms relax, so then draw the elbows. So draw that right elbow up towards the ceiling. So it's more of an active hold. Long spine, long back, good. 2 more breaths. Good. And then bend your knees, press your feet as you come up to standing. Release your arms, release your hands. Shake it out, maybe splash water. So sometimes it feels a bit maybe crampy. You can take your strap down so you don't need it anymore. Maybe bring the palms together, maybe a little bit of that kind of, whatever you call it, fancy movement, like go from side to side. So bring that movement into your wrist, maybe even just turning the palm around, pushing kind of those fingers or pressing those fingers slightly towards you. So we are stretching the front arm. Maybe that's a nice stretch. Notice even just holding the arm down or maybe bring the arm up. That in itself, that just gentle change in angle might change that stretch. Do both sides. Maybe hold more onto where the knuckles start, what are their finger joints start. So more of the palm. Deep breaths. The more you push that hand against the opposite hand, notice perhaps what's happening here in the upper shoulder. A couple of deep breaths. Good. And then shake it out. Perhaps just a bit of arm movement, shoulder, neck. So just to find kind of back into the body. So from here, coming back onto the floor. So from the back of your mat, you can almost just like slide down, move into that downward dog. Hands down, any movement, any softness, maybe stretching out through the backs of your thighs. Perhaps one heel draws towards the earth at a time. Focus on that breathing in through your nose and out through your nose or through your mouth. That feels easier. So consciously pressing that air down into the belly button area, even though we're upside down. Lovely. One more breath. And bring your knees down and bring the big toes together, knees wide, just shifting for a release of the lower back into a child's pose. You can make a cushion with your forearms and with your palms, with your fists. So notice how your knees respond. Maybe you can sit all the way back. If it feels too compressing, you can also lift your bottom up a little bit higher. So focusing on lengthening the exhale. Make it twice as long as the inhale. Perhaps even stick your tongue out as you exhale. Softening, releasing any tension from your jaw. Good. One more breath. And from here, move onto transition onto your back with
Both knees again hug towards your chest. So we are moving to final twist. Roll over to one side, perhaps. So I'm just rolling over to my left side. Use this as a starting position. Maybe have a blanket and then between both knees so that keeps the hips level, and then roll that shoulder back so you're opening up through the upper back. Take your hands perhaps out into T-shaped size, maybe those cactus arms. Maybe your head moves in the opposite direction. So the twist targets more the mid and upper back. So having a blanket in between the knees allows to keep the hips a bit more neutral, a bit more stable. So again, with gravity, let the opposite shoulder soften towards the earth. So it's natural that it might maybe just lift a bit off the floor. Perhaps it is flat on the floor. So we're all different. So just notice how's the breath moving through the torso, through the upper body. So connect back to those full, complete breaths. So the more we breathe really into our lungs, kind of using the full lung capacity, it helps to energize the body, or just to bring that life force back into the body. So stay in that twist for another 3 breaths, please. 1 inhale, 1 exhale is 1 breath. Breathing in through your nose, exhaling slowly, fully and completely. Good. From here, after those 3 breaths, so you can slowly roll onto your back. So come through that back, or you're hovering both knees over your tummy again, over your abdominals, so that just resets the posture. And then roll onto your second side. So let your knees drop over to the right side, perhaps. So if you use the opposite side again, maybe bring that blanket underneath your knees. And then just allow that shoulder, the top shoulder, once more to roll back. Maybe take a few moments to adjust so the top hip may automatically slide back towards the center of your mat. Take your gaze, take your head in the opposite direction. So let the breath really find its way into those areas that may hold on to a bit of tension, that might feel like there's maybe a knot in your stomach or somewhere in the body. So just almost surrender to that sensation where gravity slightly softens you. And the breath works its magic through the tissues. So become aware how the breath moves in through your nose, fills the lungs, and the diaphragm attempts to move down. So there's that slight compression through that twist, through that kind of squeezing of those tissues, but in a healthy way. So stay for another 3 breaths, please. And when you finished your 3 breaths, once more, roll carefully onto your back. So maybe one leg at a time. So maybe just sway a little bit, perhaps hugging both knees in, gentle rocking, maybe just softening, maybe circling, perhaps curling together like little balls. So just find what works. Maybe a deep breath and perhaps sigh it out. So we are on our own four walls. We can really have a big sigh, expelling that air out through the mouth. And then find your setup to relaxation. So either on your back, on your side, maybe seated, maybe on your front, necks bend. Perhaps even use the blankets you have, maybe just to pop them underneath your thighs. So there's a slight lift, which allows the lower back to soften. Or if you have your knees bent, take the feet to the outside edges of your mat and let your knees just kind of lean against each other. So there's no holding them, and it really is nice on the lower back. So arms can be alongside the body, palms facing up, releasing the shoulders down. And take one more deep inhale through your nose. And sigh it out. The wide mouth, open mouth. Feeling how the whole kind of body deflates. And then let your breath find its way back to its natural rhythm. So no specific shape, no specific breathing pattern. So just allowing your breath to just settle. Eyes can be closed or just a soft gaze. So once more, tune into any sensation. The body might be sending you, maybe your feet or your shins and calves, maybe your thighs, perhaps your back, maybe your arms or shoulders. So just finding that stillness, that softness again. So almost visualize with every exhale, any remaining tension, just it's kind of liquid and drains into the earth, getting absorbed by the earth. The only thing that's moving now is just your breath moving through your body. It's like rising on the inhale and softening and releasing on the exhale. Allowing a heaviness moving into your body. Moving into your body, but also into your mind. So let those thoughts, if there's still thoughts circling around, becoming heavy and slowing down, hopefully. So perhaps just park them, just observe them without clinging onto them. You still feel unable to switch off, perhaps count your breath. So make the breath count, one inhale, one exhale, perhaps 30. One inhale, one exhale, 29. So almost count down, keeping your mind busy, occupied with other things than certain thoughts. So you notice how the breath it's coming in through your nose, it's slightly cooler. Maybe your breath you're exhaling is slightly warmer.
So is the breath really calm, almost quiet? So just bringing softness into your body, into your mind, into your skin with every breath. And then letting go of any tension, any stress, any tightness with your exhale. Feeling the floor underneath you, holding you, supporting you, nourishing you. So every exhale lets you sink a little deeper into relaxation. Breathing in, softness. Breathing out any tension, any tightness. So I'll leave you here for a couple of more breaths, moments, and then I'll let you know when it's time to come back out. Very slowly and gradually bring deeper breaths back into your body. Wiggle your fingers, your toes, bringing movement back into your hands and feet. Perhaps roll your head, your neck from side to side. And maybe stretching your arms up overhead, stretching from fingertips to toes. Best stretch of the day. Maybe hug your knees in towards your chest. Gentle rocking perhaps, that feels good. And then just allowing yourself to roll over to one side. Stay there for a breath or two. And then find your way slowly back into any seated position. Oh, good. Taking one more breath. Bring your arms up, stretch up high. Big inhale, exhale. Bring your hands back towards your heart center. Bow your head towards your chest, your heart center. And then thank yourself for making time tonight. Namaste.